Welcome to Love Bite. I and Jay are both in our second year of college. We met on Reddit a few months before college began and hit it off like we were made for each other. I have not been a Reddit user until college started. She's my first girlfriend. Getting her was nothing less than a miracle. I was her first real relationship. We started dating 47 days after I found her on Reddit in 22 foot. Life was good. I was happy, and so was she. The relationship got very rocky last May because of a major fight for which I'm to blame. I was at a workplace, and we had been fighting for the past few days, and it got to the point I was under the impression that we're breaking up, and I lost my shit. I got so impulsive and told her that I'm killing myself and brought one of her friends into this, and telling her friend to take care of her and that I'm ending myself. Because of this, she lost this friendship she had with them, and it's my fault that it happened. We broke up then, and I was really upset. She was the same, but we somehow found a way back to make this work. We always did. I don't know if she would agree, but I was a really good boyfriend except for my few issues, i.e. anger and impulsiveness. She was new to the city, and I showed her everywhere you could go. Bought her dark chocolate on her periods, prioritized her before myself, and anything you can imagine. My cons? Jealousy, overthinking, and anger because of overthinking. I would spend the majority of my time with her because I genuinely enjoyed her company. To add that I didn't have many friends, I really loved every moment with her because of all the junk food I consumed. I kind of let myself go and gained weight that I recently lost in the gym. I was a gym freak, but reduced my workout sessions after getting with her. My grades came down because of my poor mental health, and I felt I was in a bad place. As much as Jay helped me, to Jay it seemed like I was not bettering myself. Jay was more than just my girlfriend. She was my entire world. I posted her all the time on social media and was so proud of the smallest things she would do. Of course, there's things I didn't like about her, but nothing would matter when I was with her. She was my escape from this world. For the past 5 years, I have had a tough time trying to talk to people. I had a major accident which altered half my face. I'm better now, but with scars on my face paired with an ectropion eyelid, Google for reference, post-surgery. I loved Jay so much, and talking to her was easily the best part of my day. Fast forward to a ton of fights, and 21 months later. Jay didn't like her friend circles and would vent to me about it. Vice versa. Jay would tell me how everything sucked, and I always tried to be there for her. One Saturday, Jay went through my phone and saw a girl who I followed on Instagram. She got curious and furious at the same time. I told her, this is my direct senior in college, and she's also part of the core committee of the event I was working on. I just wanted to know who she was because I knew the rest of my seniors, so I searched up her name and sent her a request. I apologized to her and told her if that makes you uncomfortable, I will unfollow her, and I did what I said. The following evening was Jay's friend's birthday party. Jay did not want to be there because she didn't know the people who were at that party. I still told her to go and have some fun because we spend all our time together. She finally decided to go. In that party, she met a dozen people, but there was this one dude, let's say P. I could say that P was definitely interested in Jay because he was a little over-interested in Jay's life. They all got drunk and had a fun time. Keep in mind I'm not at this party, and I'm telling you what Jay told me the next morning. Jay reached back home at around 1:30-ish a.m., and Jay, her classmate, P, and his friend came back in the same cab. Jay and P texted for a few hours on and off till I think 4 a.m. when she fell asleep. Jay did not tell me about any of this until I asked her. I was really taken back because she got so mad that I followed a person who is my direct senior and who I worked with for an event, but Jay failed to realize how P was interested in her. We spoke about it on Sunday, and I told her how I felt uncomfortable and that she was crossing a boundary by letting him follow her and talking to him at 2 a.m. in the morning. I would never talk to a girl at that time because A, nothing good happens after 12 a.m., and B, in my opinion, that's disrespectful to my partner. The same evening, I was feeling low because I was feeling lonely and wanted to stream a movie with Jay. Jay declined it, saying she doesn't feel like it and that she had to go out with her roommates for dinner. One of her roommates was going through a rough time as well, so I didn't say anything. I just slept it off mad because she was barely giving me any attention or time either on Saturday or Sunday. I understand that she can't use her phone as much when in a social setting, but I would do it regardless of whenever I went outside. Jay reached back home at midnight and dropped a text saying she reached. On Monday, I was even more upset about the way she was talking to me and that she was not sharing any details like she usually would. I barely texted her on purpose, and when she asked about why I'm doing it, I said how I felt like shit because she was not talking to me one bit, and and that I didn't have anybody to talk to. That evening, I went to go meet her like I usually would, but she gave a reason why she couldn't come. On the way back from her place, I asked her on text, "Hey, do you still have feelings for me?" She replied with, "Ick," and then I told her straight that, if you want to break up with me, do it right now. We spoke for an hour on call in the evening of why she was breaking up with me. She told me how she was socially distancing herself from people. Jay said how me always being there for her has made her too comfortable and that now she can barely hold conversations without being drunk. She said that I'm limiting her and that Jay doesn't want to have regrets once college ends. For context, Jay is pursuing a degree which usually lands you a job right after college, but I'm pursuing a degree which requires a master's, and in some cases even a PhD. Because I was taking my own sweet time, she deemed that I will not be able to financially support us after we graduate from college. So I understand partially of what she is saying. We spoke for a while and we decided to split. Next morning, Tuesday, I had morning basketball practice for the uni team. She passed by the basketball court and we exchanged smiles. She was just 15 meters away and I could feel butterflies in my tummy. Looking at her smile, I hoped she wanted to get back with me. It was around 8:30 a.m. and we had a breakfast break. I called her 13 times for half an hour and she did not pick up even once. I told her that I'm sorry I'm bothering you and didn't text further. She replied by saying that she was having breakfast with her classmates and that her phone was silent. In the evening, I decided to meet her, so I went to Jay's place and we spoke about a few things. I went back home 2 hours later and she called me in the night. She was crying and I tried to comfort her. She told me she's very stressed with her internship overloading Jay with work. She was having a breakdown and without thinking twice I went over to meet Jay. I told Jay that I have no intention of getting back and came here as a friend. 45 minutes later, I asked her anyways. I had a gut feeling that she was having breakfast with P in the morning. So I asked Jay, and she said that it was irrelevant who she had breakfast with. I tried to read the chats between Jay and P, and she snatched her phone away, saying that's irrelevant too. That kind of solidified my accusation that she was with P having breakfast. You might think it's only breakfast, but we had breakfast almost every day together since college began. The next day was Wednesday. She called me in the afternoon, and we both were just crying about how bad this breakup is and how it's affecting the both of us. After I talked to her for 15-ish minutes, I asked her, "Hey, I know you had breakfast with P. You did right." And she said, "Yes." At this point, I was so raged that I told her this is it. I'm never talking to you again, and blocked her anywhere I possibly could. She called me multiple times, but I did not pick up. She sent me an email saying it's not what it seems like, but I didn't bother to listen. The next day, Thursday, I went to the place where I usually have breakfast. P was already there. First I ignored her, but then I sat at the same table as her. She tried to be sarcastic about what I was wearing, but I was in no mood to laugh. I asked her, "Where's P? How come you aren't having breakfast with P?" And she said, "I don't know where P is." I asked her if she has P's number, and she said, "Yes, I do." That was a blow to me, and I just left the place without saying anything further. From Thursday, I decided to go no contact. I blocked her everywhere. Although I was miserable, I tried to move on knowing that I never would get over Jay. A week had passed now. Valentine's week had passed as well. I was trying to distract myself with basketball, music, and working on that event I told you earlier about. We were never big on Valentine's, but I was feeling devastated knowing that she's probably going out with P. Thursday, 8 p.m., she called me and asked me where I was. I told her I'm out eating dinner by myself. She told me that she was waiting at my place for 3 hours to check up on how I was doing. I quickly went back and she was upset, so I tried to hug her and she said that she can't do this. I give her some warm water and ask her how she's been, and we spoke for a bit. Then I decided to ask her if she went out with P for Valentine's Day. She said no, he's having a fever, but she did go out with her friends the day before. I felt relieved, but I was not done there yet. I asked her, "Have you hooked up with P?" "Have you?" She replied after a few seconds with, "Yes." I felt my heart shatter. Hearing this was worse than the breakup itself. Sex, to me, is more than just physical affection. It's the intimate connection of two people. It's when both partners are the most vulnerable. I always hated the hookup culture. The hookup triggered me. I wanted to break anything that was in front of me. In the fit of the rage, I threw 2 ceramic mugs that I bought with her into the sink, breaking it. I was so angry I felt like screaming my heart out. I broke a 5-inch x 5-inch canvas gift she made for me. I was on the verge of burning our favorite Polaroid, but she stopped me. In this anger, I call up P and tell him that I'm going to fuck him up and that if he ever passes me, I'm going to give him the beating of his life. As psycho as it sounds, I did not think twice. We fought and fought until we were screaming our lungs out. After I calmed down, she said, I thought you would have changed, but you're still the same. I didn't move a thing in my place from the day she left. The clothes lying around, mess everywhere. I didn't want to clean up the place. Later, I somehow managed to calm myself and drop her back home. I called P and apologized for the way I reacted and that I wouldn't beat him up. He says, I understand where your rage is coming from, and that made me even more angrier. He further tells me that getting angry isn't going to change anything. She chose me over you, bro. I didn't want to make it worse than what it already was, so I just said okay and hung up. At 11 p.m., I called Jay and apologized to her as well. I told Jay what P told me. Apparently, P told Jay that I was ready to take a punch from him. Jay said that she didn't want to think of me or us and just wanted to let herself go. She said that she didn't think twice and just wanted to forget the past. When P said he's ready to take a punch, I felt, of course you're ready to take a punch. You hook up with a girl who just went through a breakup in under a week. It's disgusting to think that a man would use somebody like this. You might say that it's mutual consent, but I don't think any good man would use advantage right after a breakup. I don't know whether it's right to blame him or blame her, but I was broken down to pieces. I was at my lowest. I waited 47 days to ask her out and was nothing but good to her. Sure that I have done wrong and repeated mistakes multiple times, but it infuriated me that another man gets her in a week. I still cared for her. I still had feelings for her, but it didn't seem like she cared. P is only here to be an FWB. When Jay asked about a future together, he just said, yeah, I want you. All he does is smoke every day, and I find him pathetic. He doesn't care about her, and I'm angry at how he doesn't realize he has the perfect girl in front of him. I know that P is bad for Jay, and that's why I even threatened him in the first place. The next day was Friday. Jay had classes till 12 p.m., and I thought I'd meet her. I called her, and she cut my call. I called her again, but Jay didn't pick up. I continued to call her for 5 hours like a madman begging for her attention. I stooped down another level. I went to her place after my classes and she wasn't at home. Now I thought she was with P. I called P because I was so anxious to talk to her. He cut my calls as well. Turns out she was. She switched her phone off and was watching a movie with P. After this I couldn't control but cry and leave. On the way back I ran into her. Looking at her, I could say that she was barely watching the movie and the both were just making out. After this we both were just yelling at each other on the street and I ripped that Polaroid photo that I tried to burn earlier. At this point, I didn't care how she felt and I was acting impulsively. I threatened to call her mom and tell her everything, hoping that she would just talk to me. Jay said I'm harassing her by calling her so many times and I'm making her feel unsafe, and it ended up in us blocking each other. During the span of that 1 week of no contact, Instagram would flood me with depressing reels. I at that point never imagined us getting back together, and I posted 2 depressing reels on my close friends story. I removed the mutual friends we had from the close friends list, but I missed out one guy who was a friend of Jay's friend. I posted a reel where this guy is saying someone got her without even putting any effort, while you lost her trying your best. Under the reel, I wrote a caption, "Good Lord, took her new man only 2 days." I didn't think twice, and at that moment that's exactly how I felt. She was not aware of this when I posted it. On Sunday, she called me and we ended up talking for 3 entire hours. We were talking things out and having a few giggles as well. Things were honestly looking like we could make this work. We were talking from our heart, and I felt I could understand why she did what she did. Monday morning, I met Jay before her classes. We spoke like we usually do, and we both went to classes. After my basketball practice in the evening, I called her and we spoke for 15 minutes. We were both very hungry and decided to get dinner together. I picked her up, and we went to a restaurant. We were sharing laughs, and I could still feel that spark between us. It was evident that I still had feelings for her and vice versa. She said she feels guilty about not telling P that she's out with me. I told Jay that it feels like she is cheating on P with me. I put all my emotions aside and just tried to have a good time. In the restaurant, she went through my story archives because I told her I posted depressing stories on my close friends. She looked at it, and when she read the caption, she got mad. And rightfully so. Jay proceeds to tell me that I was pathetic for it, and that I am an asshole for this. While I agree it was wrong in my justification, I just wanted to vent. I didn't have the intention of getting back with Jay. Jay then justified the hookup since it was after the breakup, but I wasn't just letting it slide. She said my posting of a story was worse than the hookup itself, and that I was showing my true self. She took a cab back from the restaurant and then said, "I'm done." That is the story so far. I honestly do not know if I would consider getting back with her. Because of my Instagram story, I don't think she'll ever consider me back. I tried to cut contact, but it just relapsed all over again. Now I'm addicted to her. Every notification I get, I hope it's her message. I could never get over her hooking up. I am sure I'm going to bring it up in fights, and I don't see a healthy relationship. But I also want her so badly, regardless of the fights. The happiness I get from her is worth it. I don't know what's wrong with me for going back to her a gazillion times. Am I just desperate for love and affection? I'm so attached to her there's nothing I can think of but her. I told her I was ready to live with the hookup. I lack self-respect because I'm going against my own morals. I am so puzzled, I do not know what to do. I don't know if she fumbled or I. It's not easy to move on. I know I'm going to be fixated on her for a long time. I wanted to get a third person's opinion into this. But again, this is only my side of the story, and every story has two sides to it.